All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Quick Start webinar. Everybody's logging in. Good to see everyone. Hey, Chris, doing great. Thanks for asking. Welcome, welcome. If you're just tuning in for the first time, Noah Harris here, part of the PMC team. I've hosted this Quick Start webinar now. Can you believe it? 60 times. It's the big 6-0. I love it. I love it. Every single Thursday at 1 o'clock Eastern time. On this call, we practice private money lending best practices. We talk about private money lending fundamentals. We just stay sharp. We just stay sharp. I don't know what to tell you. We practice. Right now, you're watching, maybe you're into sports, maybe you like the NBA playoffs. I'm a big hockey guy. The hockey playoffs are going on right now. And even at the absolute highest level, those guys are practicing, right? They're practicing. They might have a game tonight. They got a morning skate in the morning to loosen up, right? There might be an NBA player right now practicing their free throws, even though they've done it 10 million times since they were a kid. So why not do the same thing in business? Why not do the same thing in your real estate investing business? And that's exactly what we do every single Thursday, 1 o'clock here on the Quick Start webinar. Cool. I'm going to show you something kind of neat that we're going to start doing here. So my mom is an artist. I just went home to Fort Myers, Florida, and went on a little spring break, little vacation. And my mom's an artist down there, and she made these. We have this beautiful painting in our living room, and I asked her to do some prints for me. So this is a print of the painting that's in my living room. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. So this is a famous bridge here in Columbia. It's called the Gervais Street Bridge. If you look closely, there's like a map that's like paper mache. Like the original is really cool, cut out of like a magazine and stuff like that. The guy's jumping in. So, what does this have to do with private money lending? Noah, what the heck are you doing? So these are going to be gifts to our private money lenders, right? So it's little things like this, right, that help cultivate relationships, and that's the name of the game. This is a relationship based business. So if you've ever had clients, like I treat my private money lenders like a client. Like I'm trying to give them a great customer service. If they're willing to trust me in my real estate investing business, it's my job to make sure that they have an enjoyable experience, right? So the same could be said for people who are on this call and want to become private money lenders or are private money lenders. The same could be said. Like, what are you doing to help build and cultivate and sustain relationships and keep those relationships? I do my absolute best to make sure that when we're working with a private money lender as a real estate investor, that we don't work with them just once. Why am I going to go through the struggle of having to find new lenders every time I have a deal if I'm doing things well and making people feel special, I'm communicating, showing them updates on the projects, I'm paying good interest and things like this? Why wouldn't someone want to work with us more than once, right, guys? So I'm curious, does anybody else do this? Anybody else giving gifts? Maybe, I know it's common for like real estate agents to do stuff, right? Like, oh, you bought a house, here's a cutting board or whatever, right? No, I want to work with you. That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome, Christian. There's a process to that. Maybe at the end I'll show you. That's not what this call is about. But if you were someone who, family member, friend, neighbor, whatever, that said, hey, no, I'm interested in real estate, interested in working with you guys, what I would do is I would send them to my website, or within my website has videos and all the information of what it looks like to work with us. And then there's a spot on our calendar where you can get added to the calendar and you can pick the time that you want to have a meeting with us. And then we actually go through a very detailed checklist of what it looks like to work with us, which is kind of cool, right? And I don't say that to say, hey, look, work with me. I say everything that I do, I'm sharing in hopes that maybe people on this call will go out and implement something similar, right? Which is kind of cool. So I'll share with you the website so you can kind of check it out. But I'll do that at the end, Christian. Okay, so hang tight. All right, so what's up, everybody? Welcome to the PMC Quickstart webinar. Coach Noah here. What's happening? Anything going on in real estate wise? Any wins? Are we celebrating anything today? Chris, are we celebrating anything? What's going on in California? What's going on in Myrtle Beach? What's going on in North Carolina? Are you guys closing on deals? What are we happy about today? Are there any challenges that you're celebrating? Like, oh man, I never ran into this before, but I figured out the solution. So next time, boom, boom, I got it. I got it. Sometimes our biggest learning lessons come from our losses. And a good friend of mine, his name's Gaspar Luciana, and he's down in West Palm, South Florida. I think he's in South Florida these days. Anyways, we played hockey together in college, and I just took my son to a tournament in Savannah, and they got absolutely smoked. So they lost like 20-0. I think they lost like 37-0. And this is a hockey score, not football. Okay. And so I posted a picture and said, hey, not the outcome we wanted, but at least we look good, right? They had these flashy jerseys, and my friend Gaspar said, hey, no, remember you learn more from your losses than you do your wins sometimes, right? So what are we celebrating? What are we celebrating? I got paid by a lender yesterday and another one wrapping up mid-May. All right, cool. I like it. Oh, by a borrower. All right. Congrats, Shane. Angela says, I have an acre of land I want to subdivide and build on half of it. Awesome, Angela. I love it. Now, Angela, are you on here because you want private money to help you do that? Right? Because we could use you as a case study today. Okay. All right, cool. Awesome. Getting a property under contract and starting to search for the lender. Congratulations, Monica. That's awesome. Caleb, I love this. Putting 2 mobile homes on a tract of land. Boom. You're speaking my wife's love language. Christy loves the manufactured home. So this is awesome stuff. Is there anyone on the call right now who has a deal like Angela, like Monica, like Caleb? And, this is called the Quickstart webinar. So anyone looking for funding, just type me in the chat box. This is a great way to network too on these calls. Right now on this call, I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but we do have 57 people, right? Joyce, all right, Monica, me. So I'm going to share with you what I would do if I had a deal. And now I'm not going to guarantee any type of funding or anything like this, right? But if I had a deal and I wanted to get as many eyes on it as possible, and the right eyes, right? Like you could take a real estate deal to a dog show and nobody would give a crap, right? But if you take a real estate deal to the private money club, there's going to be people that are interested, right? So let me show you what I would do. There's 4 or 5 things that I would do right now to get as many eyes on the property, on the opportunity as possible. Now, is there anyone here who is maybe you like to put your money to work and you're on the lender side of things, right? Anyone looking for opportunities? Type me in the chat box if that's you. If you love the idea of making a nice double-digit rate of return and having it secured by real estate that's worth much more than your loan amount, I'm just going to go ahead and put you in the lender bucket. All right. I'm going to put you in the lender bucket. All right. So bear with me here. I got a new desk, so I'm standing up. So just got to get the camera right. A little out of breath. I don't even have the treadmill running. All right, cool. So here we go. Anytime I teach a webinar or class, every single quick start that we do, I always share this slide. I always talk about how difficult real estate investing is. I always talk about how risky lending can be when a person doesn't know what they're doing. A big reason why I love teaching about private money lending is because I use private money lenders in my real estate investing business. I've been using private money almost exclusively for over 10 years now. I'd say probably closer to over 12 years now. So I'm a big believer in it. I also like to think that I've helped people make a nice double-digit rates of return. And it's this two-way street. It's this win-win, scenario that we've helped created. But I also know people who have lost money private money lending. I also know folks who, haven't had the success that they were looking for. People call me and say, hey, no, I lent money. I haven't heard from this person. Oh my gosh. And I ask them the questions. Did you do this, this, and this? And they said, no, I didn't do any of those things. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, did you ask them this question before wiring the funds? Oh, I didn't think to ask those questions. So lots of times when people struggle with the private lending, it comes down to just not knowing what to do, what to say, what to ask, and what to have signed, right? The logistics of it. So these are the types of things that we talk about on these calls. Nothing is perfect, but when done right, private money lending is a beautiful thing. And if you want to be great at borrowing money, right? Caleb, Christian, Angela, Monica, right? Me, Monica said earlier. It's important that you talk about the risks, right? It's really important that you talk, because I promise you, when you sit down with a lender, the lender's thinking, okay, what could go wrong? They're making a mental list up here, maybe even writing it down, so that when you're done talking, they're asking you the tough questions. Hey, what if the market dips 10%? What about tariffs? What about this, that? What if you don't pay me? Right? How you respond and how you answer those questions could really dictate if a person gets the funding or not. Right? So we like to talk about these things up front, and it shows that we have plans in place. We have safety nets in place, right? Which is good. I love the attitude, Shane. Shane says, "Oh, that's why I'm here. I'm continuing to learn and doing loans more effectively." Awesome. So welcome to the Quick Start webinar. If this is your very first time on the Quick Start webinar, just go ahead and say hi. Say first timer here in the chat box. This is brought to you by the Private Money Club. I'll show you what the Private Money Club is. I'll show you how I leverage it. I'll show you how every single person on this call could have a profile in Private Money Club to help them with their real estate and with their lending goals, which is awesome. Hey, John, Paul, cool. Brian, welcome. If you've been on the calls before, just go ahead and say hi in the chat box. Say, I'm back, baby. I'm back, baby. So every single call that we do, we try to start on time, right at 1 o'clock. I keep it real estate. I try not to vary too far from real estate. I mean, everything, all business opportunities take money, right? But we talk real estate in here. So if you're on this call looking to figure out how to fund a manufactured home deal, fix and flip deal, a rental property, Airbnb, transactional funding, small multifamily type of stuff, you're in the right space. If you're on this call and you love the idea of putting money to work and making a nice double-digit rate of return, having it secured by real estate, this is what we do, right? Participation is encouraged. You'll see the chat box flowing. All right. If you have any questions, you can ask questions in the Q&A section here. My friend Joseph, a fellow PMC team member, right on cue. Oh, I love it. Right on cue. Joseph Nagasa is part of the PMC team. He is my co-pilot on this call. Lots of times the chat box just gets flowing and I miss things. I may say, hey, Joseph, put up a link to this, put up a link to that. This person's asking me about Money Tank. This person wants to take a class. This person needs help getting their profile set up. Joseph is the person to help with all of those things. If you have a very specific question about real estate, things like this, type it in the Q&A section and I'll try to answer it halfway through, right at the 30-minute mark, and then right at the end of our call as well. I'll answer questions too. So can you share HELOC Joe's contact info, please? I don't have that right now. Joseph might be able to put that together. HELOC Joe. All right. Not the same Joe, but he might be able to help you out. All experience levels are welcome. We have people in the Private Money Club who have done thousands of deals. We have people that are brand new. We have people that have done land development. We have people that are just trying to get their first rental property, right? So no matter where you are on the spectrum, every single person is welcome. If you're on the call for the first time here, just to know a little bit about me. If you're like me, you like to know who you're learning from and things like this. My name is Noah Harris. I have a company called Revive Homes LLC. So lots of times when I'm teaching, I use case studies. And so if you see Revive Homes, that's me. That's us. That was established in 2013. We're here in Columbia, South Carolina. My wife and I do business together. Our goal is the same goal that I have for every single person on this call, and that's to help people create a 100% track record. So when you're borrowing funds, my goal is to help you be able to pay it back and do it over and over and over again. When you're lending funds, gosh, if I could teach you one or two things to help keep a person safe, help a person get their funds back with interest and be able to create consistency and do it over and over and over again, find the right people to work with. Oh man, what a blessing. What a blessing. So this is relationship based. All right. So I'm going to talk about that here today, right? We're going to talk about what's the difference between using a private money lender or a hard money lending company, right? What is a private lender? We're going to hit that here on the next couple of slides. I teach a class for Private Money Club. It's called the Accelerator Coaching Program. So if you're someone who says, Noah, I love these calls. I would love to collapse the time frame. I'd like to learn this quicker. Give me everything you got as fast as you can and as thorough as you can. Let's take a deep dive. The Accelerator class is a class that I teach. We are starting up a new accelerator course mid-May. So we have one coming up in 2 weeks. If you would like more information about that, Joseph can help you out. Thank you, Shane, for helping us get Joe's information, which is awesome. What's up, William? Good to see you on here as well. Now, being that this is relationship based, and Monica and everyone else that has a deal, I need funding. How can I get as many eyes on my projects and my properties as possible? One of the ways that you can do that is May 8th and 9th in Dallas, Texas. We are having a money tank event. So this is Private Money Club's flagship event. If you are going to Money Tank, say in the chat box, I'll be there. Let me know. My wife and I, we're going to be there. Can't wait. So this is exclusive to Private Money Club, and there'll be Shark Tank opportunities. You can share your deals. It's going to be really, really exciting. This is an awesome event. Dallas, Texas, May 8th and 9th. We'll talk a little bit more about that here as we go through things here. So let's talk about this. What do you think of, because if you're on the call for the first time, or maybe you haven't used private money before, this is a really important step. Like it's really important to frame your mindset around who is a private lender and who could be a private money lender. So let me ask you a question. When you think of the term private lender, what comes to mind? What comes to mind? Hey, private lender, what do you think? What did you think before hopping on this webinar that what was the first thing that came to mind when you heard private lender? Put it in the chat box. Type it in the chat box. Mike said an individual. Love it. Kelly said fees, interest rates. Right now, maybe is Kelly a borrower or a lender? Because if Kelly's a lender, she's like, yeah, baby, interest rates. Let's go. Right? If Kelly's a borrower, she's thinking, am I gonna be paying more or less? What's the deal? What's the difference here? Right? No banks. A real person with money. All right. Hard money. All right. A person with a lot of money. People with cash to lend out. Okay. Cool. Duran says easy access. Easier access. Could be. These are all great answers. If you hopped off this webinar and you Googled private money lender, there's going to be tons of results, right? Millions of results are going to pop up probably. Lots of those Google search results are going to be not necessarily people. It might be a fund. It might be a company. Right? And then they have people who are in charge of lending the money out and things like this, right? So that's not what we're talking about in Private Money Club. That's not what we're talking about on these calls here. And I love the answers that I was getting, right? And what Joseph just said, they're an individual who loans money with and wants some collateral in return, which is a great little definition there as well, right? I'm a big believer that every single person that I come in contact with could be a private money lender in my real estate investing business. If not today, maybe tomorrow. And it doesn't matter amounts. I see some people saying in the chat box that they have someone who has a lot of cash. Well, I've worked with people who have started out small. Maybe they lent the repair costs, or I think the smallest private money loan I ever took when I first started using private lenders was like $10,000, right? That's not too common for me now, but I think there's a misconception out there that a person has to have millions of dollars in order to be a lender, which totally isn't the case. I'm a big believer that if I'm presenting good real estate deals that I know I'm going to follow through on, they're going to be really good collateral, that I can help as many people as possible, the right person, right? The right person. We'll talk about that. Now, when it comes to working with a person, it might be easier access, right? It's a phone call. After you do a bunch of deals together, maybe it's a text message, right? The speed of implementation could be much quicker because you're not working with a bank, right? You're not working with a company that's going to turn around and sell the loan, right? So there's different things that just know this, guys. Anyone that we come in contact with could be a lender, right? We got to get great at explaining it. How many of you know someone right now who would make a great private money lender, but that person doesn't know it yet? You get what I'm saying? Does anybody have a family member or a friend and like, you're like, man, they would be a great private money lender for my real estate investing business, but they don't know that this exists yet. Anyone? Right? Okay, definitely. Brian says. Kelly says, I do. What we got to get great at, maybe we'll practice this a little bit today, is our elevator pitch, right? Explaining what private money lending is. And once a person believes and is educated around the topic of private money lending and believes that, hey, this could be for me, now they're open to the idea of hearing about your deals, right? You got to sell. You're selling, right? You're presenting opportunities. Are you selling to a person who is buying what you have? And a big part of this business is giving people the self-belief and the self-concept of themselves that they are private lenders. I love it. I love going to the money tank and seeing average everyday people who maybe had a different career for 20 years or whatever, and they got their house in order and they're learning about private lending, and they hand you their card and it says private lender on it. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool, right? So in this platform of Private Money Club, when we talk about private lenders, we're talking about people, right? People just like you and me, which is awesome, right? Cool. Here's one of my lenders here. I'm just going to share this because I've shared this over the last 2 weeks. So I posted a deal in Private Money Club and it got funded pretty much right away. With one member from PMC, and then the other person here funded the repair costs, right? And I shared this last week because right before I hopped on the call, a deal got funded, right? And so this is relationship based, right? So I posted the deal, I shared the deal, and then messages started coming in. I have lenders that I work with regularly. Shot out a text message, came back, done. It was done. I'll show it to you. It's pretty cool. So if I was, let me just do a roll call here real quick, okay? Let's see what we got. Joseph, this is one of Joseph and I's favorite parts of the webinar. And we get to see who our lenders and who our borrowers are, right? So if you're on this call right now and you're a real estate investor, you love the idea of using people and not institutions or banks to fund your real estate deals, go ahead and type borrower in the chat box. Type borrower in the chat box. It's pretty cool. Watch what happens. I just love this. I love this. These are my people here, right? And I know some of you might be driving, you might not be able to text back and things like this. But right now we have 69 people, including myself, on the call. So borrowers are coming in. All right, cool. There's my real estate investors. Real estate investors are coming in, right? Cool. I love how Mike said I want to get on the lending side in the future, which is ultimately the goal, right? So for my real estate investors, I mean, I flip houses not because I love the smell of cat pee and mold, right, Chris? Like I don't love moldy houses, but I love what all the hard work can provide for my family once that house is fixed up and sold, right? So ultimately the goal, and when I flip a house and make 25, 30, 40, 50, 100 grand or whatever, that's active income, right? Like I did some work, I got paid. Eventually I don't want to do that anymore. So just like Mike said, hey, I eventually want to get over into the lending side. At some point we got to say, okay, is our nest egg big enough where we can put it to work at 10% and we don't have to do anything anymore, right? So I'm always looking for those interest income, those passive income exit strategies. You flip the house, then what? You buy the rental property, right? Or if you don't want to be a landlord, what do? You turn around and you lend it out, right? So that's ultimately the goal. Where are my lenders at? Lots of borrowers. Where are the lenders at? Svetlana got the party started. All right, cool. Hey, John, what's up, man? All right, cool. So yeah, lenders are coming in, looking to become one. I want to put my self-directed IRA to work. I'm telling you right now, I feel like the crazier it is out there, the crazier it is. Like if I pulled up my YouTube TV right now and I put on the news and the Squawk Box or whatever we watch, it's chaos. It's crazy. The crazier it is out there, the better it is in here. Isn't that nuts? I say that again. The crazier it is out there, the easier it is in here. The better it is for us in here, lenders and borrowers, because people are looking for options, right? People are looking for options, just like Caleb, right? So lots of lenders in the house today too, which is awesome to see. It's so funny. I have friends, you guys. I had a friend that. Now let me back up. An attorney. We went to a closing a few weeks ago, and the real estate attorney that was doing my paperwork, I was buying a house. He said, "Oh, your lender was super nice to work with and pretty fair rate." And I said, "Yeah, they're fantastic." And we started talking about money and private money and funding deals. And I kid you not, he says to me, the guy that was in here before used, I'm not going to name names, but it was a local hard money lending company here in the Carolinas. And he said the guy is paying 16%. And it was like a $400 and some thousand loan. And the fees were like over 10 grand. And my immediate thought was, I hope that real estate investor knows what he's doing, because that's expensive, man. That's expensive. So I'm going to, people always ask, hey, no, what do you pay for your fix and flip deals? It's really anywhere. And there's lots of opportunities in Private Money Club. I'll bring some up. I'll show you here in a minute. Lots of opportunities to make 10, 15, 20 or more, right? That's what the folks are saying, right? But gosh, that's a lot. That's a lot. I mean, think about the difference. If you're a real estate investor and you're paying 16% and all of these fees for every deal that you do, and let's say your goal is to do 4 deals a year, holy cow, that just in the fees, that person's paying $40,000. That if they had private lender relationships worked out, maybe they wouldn't be paying those fees, right? Isn't that crazy? So anyways, you got to meet the people though. You got to meet the people. All right. One of the ways, so for Monica, for Kelly, for Joe, for anyone that has a deal under contract right now, and you want to get as many eyes on the property as possible, I'm going to walk through 5 different things that you can do to help you with that. Number 1, if you are in Dallas, Texas, I mean, I'm in South Carolina. I'm still going to this thing, but Dallas, Texas, May 8th and 9th, our flagship event. We're going to have Shark Tank, all kinds of cool setup. If you want to meet people face to face, Money Tank's where it's at. So I don't know if Joseph has promo codes or anything like that, but I'm going to leave that up to Joseph. If you are interested in learning more about attending Money Tank, I just went over the lineup with Stephen Nagy, and it's going to be awesome. It's going to be really cool. I wish they would put more of the speakers on the website to show everybody how awesome like all the people are that are going to be like presenting and talking and doing. I feel like they're like under promise and want to over deliver. It's going to be a great time. It's going to be a great time. Shane's going. I love it. I love it. Cool. I love Kelly says, I'm interested in building a small community for women starting over. I like that. Researching land opportunities right now throughout the state. Yeah, you know what's really cool? There's lots of different opportunities right now for things like that. And what's cool about private money, let's talk about, like right now, totally off topic right now, but like room share. We work with a company that property manages and helps find tenants who need to just get back up on their feet. And it could be situations like you're talking about, Kelly. It could be just, veterans and things like this. Across the street, I'm looking at the house right now out of my office. They just sold this house, and it's going to be a room share for adults with disabilities. And we are so excited about this. And my wife called the buyer that's buying the house across the street to learn about it, see if we could help participate in any way with like finding them more houses. We have an 8-year-old son who is autistic. So in our minds, we're like, gosh, this could be, this could be him one day, right? Like, so we want to learn as much as we can about that model. What's crazy though is I don't know if traditional banks or hard money lending companies are as open. If they said, hey, this place across the street is going to cash flow $4,000 a month, they might say, well, not by our numbers, right? So they might be a little bit more restrictive with some of their lending terms as opposed to using private money, which is kind of cool. So, all right, here we go. Money Tank. This was our last Money Tank. We went to Charlotte. It was amazing. We went to the racetrack and we just had a really good time. That's my wife there, Christy. She was there teaching about investing in mobile and manufactured homes. But again, I love the Zooms. I love seeing you guys every Thursday. But if you'd like to meet face to face, Dallas, Texas, May 8th and 9th, it's going to be an awesome time.
You ever feel like you don't have control of your real estate business or your money? That's right. The big banks and the institutions, they're in control, right? I know you've felt that before. Private Money Club puts you back in the driver's seat. As members often tell us, it's a total game changer. Join the community of like-minded lenders and borrowers by going to privatemoneyclub.com and sign up.
All right, so here's what I would do. If I had a deal or I had funding that I wanted to put to work and I was looking for deals, these are the things that I would do. All right. And I know Joseph would agree with me on this. Great question, Robert. How many accredited investors do you have, and do you do syndications? I personally do not do syndications. I don't invest in those types of properties. I'm more of a I'm small meat and potatoes, fix and flip houses, things like this. $1 million properties is about as high as I'll go. But within Private Money Club, as you'll see here in a minute, lots of different types of syndication opportunities. And if you had one, my goodness, this is a great place to meet people as well, right? So great question. I don't know how many are accredited, but there is probably someone at PMC who could give you a general idea. because I recently actually had, when I logged into Private Money Club, I had to say if I was accredited or not. So I think down the road, there's going to be some, what's the word I'm looking for? Like in our profiles, we have like badges and things like that next to our names, which is kind of cool. That maybe, I'm just guessing, maybe down the road, they could have something like that showing that you were accredited, so on and so forth, right? Which is pretty cool. So we'll talk about that on another webinar. Maybe I'll get one of my friends in here that does syndications, Robert. But essentially, you're pooling funds from many different investors to fund one big project, right? And there's a lot of legalities and things like that that need to happen first to do it the right way. So here's what I would do. Okay, I'm a big believer that every single person in here should have a Private Money Club profile. If you have a Private Money Club profile, type me in the chat box. Type me in the chat box. If you have a Private Money Club profile. Now, there's a couple of different ways that you can do this. So again, if I had a deal right now, or if I had money right now and I wanted to get eyes on opportunities or other people's eyes on my deals, this is what I would do. Step one, create the profile. Okay. You can see lots of people have profiles, premium membership, free membership. There's a difference. So every single person on this call right now, I'm a big believer you should have a profile. If you have to start out free or you want to check it out, test the waters, see what it's all about, create a free profile. Okay. At any point in time, if you want to leapfrog, and there's benefits and things like that, of course, to premier membership, but every single person should have a free profile. Monica, you can create a free profile and post a deal. Okay. So this is all going to come together for you guys. All right. Let me pull this up. I'm going to share with you what this is exactly what I do. Every single person on this call right now could be in Private Money Club, looking at opportunities and posting their deals. All right. And I'll share with you what I've experienced, right? So keep in mind, just because if my deals get funded doesn't mean yours are going to, but I'll share with you what I did to help get eyes on the prize. Okay. So, and I saw someone here that said my profile needs to be updated. Yes, go do that. Go do that. Okay. Make that your homework assignment after this call here today. Okay. So create the profile. You go to Joseph, put the link in there, privatemoneyclub.com. Okay. Privatemoneyclub.com. So number one, create your profile. Here we go. So this is what mine looks like. And I'll give you some tips. I'll give you some insight, and I'm learning things because they're adding things to this version of Private Money Club all the time. So I'm learning things. So you can see I got my picture there. Now here's the deal. When you go to create your profile in Private Money Club, make sure that you include photos of yourself. Okay. Like we like to look at this. Hi, Chris always calls this, Chris Naugle, the founder of Private Money Club. He always calls this like a dating site, right? For borrowers and for lenders. So if you put it in a dating site context, I would imagine that if you were on like a dating app, like match.com or whatever's out there these days, I'd imagine that you wouldn't want to do business. You wouldn't want to do business with someone who you didn't know what they looked like, right? Because if they didn't have a photo, would you, I mean, maybe this isn't even a real person. Does that make sense? So like I would make sure I have a photo. They allow you to have like a cover page photo too, kind of like a Facebook vibe there as well. Now you can see I share a profile here with my wife, Christy. And so there's a little badge there. It says Premier. So that shows that I'm a Premier member with Private Money Club. Now, I don't know if there's a difference. Like, you know, if someone's a Premier member or not a Premier member, it doesn't, and they post a deal, it doesn't mean the deal is no good, right? It doesn't mean the borrower is no good. But what I will tell you is I would probably be inclined to reach out to the person that was a Premier member over the person that was a free member. I'm just saying, right? In the long run, you're thinking big picture, you want to do this the right way, I'd probably invest in a membership. All right. I mean, when you look at if you can find one or two people to do deals with over and over and over again, and you can avoid all the fees and all the crap that comes with having to use hard money and the rejection that comes with using traditional banks, I'd say it's worth it, right? The other badge here, there's 2 courses that you can take. So I've taken them. So they're PMC classes within the platform, and one of them's for lenders, one of them's for borrowers. I've taken both. Okay. So it takes like a couple hours. There's quizzes, you know, I feel like you guys will be all right. Right. But it's more education. It's showing that you've taken steps to educate yourself at a higher level. And those badges are next to your names. Right. So it helps. It helps. Okay. Which I think is important. In this profile here, I'll just kind of share with you some things I did with mine. Like these are pictures of past projects. I should update these. Kelly, I need to take some of my own advice. I need to update some of these, show some of the newer things that we're doing. Right. And my wife and I, we flip a lot of manufactured homes, not a lot, but here in South Carolina, it's not a matter of if, but when you're going to find a manufactured home deal that makes sense. And so this is a manufactured home. This is a manufactured home. So I have pictures in here of our work and kind of a short bio here of our track record. Right. So, in what we're all about. So step one, profile, got to have it. Got to have it. Okay. Profile, got to have it. Because if you don't have this, you can't do step 2 or 3. Okay. All right. So this is important. Step number 2, deals. So if you have a deal, I would post a deal. If you are a lender, I would be on this weekly. Maybe before every Thursday quick start webinar, you hop on here and just see if there's anything new or fresh that you haven't seen yet, or a person that you haven't had a conversation with yet. And I do look at this like you need to have conversations, you need to have interviews, you need to reach out to people, right? So like what I would do is if I had a deal, I'd come over, I'd click post deal, put in the address, pictures, all the information, so on and so forth, right? Once that happens, it's going to come out looking like, which one do you want me to click on? What should we do? What should we do? Let's do, I don't know. I like this one. All right. This one looks good. So I would click on this. Everything that I showed you right there is all filled out right here. So it's all the information on the property, on the deals, and different things like that, right? What the interest rates are, how you're getting paid. Is it a first position? I really like how Jalen did this. She's had like investor perks, property features, right? A little information about it, pictures of the property. This is outside of Disney World, Airbnb type of thing. Kind of cool. 120. I mean, I'm just saying $120,000 loan, 10% interest. But the property, I thought I saw it down here. Final value after repairs, 800,000. So the repair costs are 120,000. The purchase price, well, maybe this is just for the repair cost, but she said it was a first position lien. So this would be like, I have some questions. I'm going to reach out to Jalen here. And so I just hit, I'm interested, or I could shoot her a message, right? And it pops up and I send her a message and we can get the conversation going, which is kind of cool, right? Any questions on this? You guys like this? If you're seeing this for the first time, is this pretty cool? I mean, it's like a nice social media site, but it's just private money lending. It's not like I get so overwhelmed with Facebook. I get nothing done. Like, and it's all like noise, right? This is all business, right? Which is pretty cool, right? Yeah, exactly, Kelly. There's a learning tab where you can take your classes. There's a tools section here. On past webinars, I've dived into the tools. Maybe next week I can do that for you guys. Okay, so step number 1, create the profile. Step number 2, post your deal. All right. Step number 3 is, let me see if I can find it over here. On the right-hand side of Private Money Club, it might not be on this page. Let me see if it's on the community section. There's a webinar that we do, and it is called Money Club Monday. All right, Money Club Monday. So every single Monday at 1 o'clock, we hold a webinar that's usually hosted by Stephen Nagy, one of the co-founders of Private Money Club. I actually got to host it last Monday because Stephen was out of town. And what we do is the community comes on a Zoom webinar and shares their deals. So, and on that call, we had about 70, 75 people consistently throughout that hour session. So follow me here. Number 1, post your deal, build out your profile, right? So now everyone on Private Money Club can see your deal. If they want to make sure you're a real person and see what you're about, they click on your profile, boom, boom, everything's matching up. Credibility is increasing, right? I would actually go into the community section here and post the deal. I would post it. Hey, we just a new, as you can see, I'll show you some of my past posts. I say, hey, a new deal dropped, a new gem for you guys or whatever, right? I'll post it here and then I'll go into the deal section and I'll post it there. Then I hop on Money Club Mondays. I got a little PowerPoint and I'll present the opportunity to the community. You follow me? So then that gets recorded. So you have, last week, for instance, we had 75 people on, if not more, that watched other people present their deals. That gets recorded and then sent out to other members within the community. So if there's a couple thousand people in PMC, they're clicking on, they're opening up. Hey, what was going on Money Club Monday? I missed it. Boom, the video's there. I've presented deals on Money Club Monday and then gone back and then people have gone back and watched 2 weeks later, have reached out to me about that project, right? So lots of opportunities. And then get to a live event. So create your profile, post the deal, post it in the deal section, present on Money Club Mondays. Does this sound like let me ask you a question. Does this sound like a lot of work? What do you guys think? Does this sound like a lot to you? Is this too much? Okay, I'm just making sure. All right. I'm just making sure. This is one of those webinars where if you guys are having fun, I'm having fun. Are you guys having fun? Are you guys having fun? All right, just making I'm just making sure I'm having fun. All right. Okay, cool. All right. So it's not, right? I don't know where else, and I've been doing it for a while now, right? I don't know where else you can get so many eyes on your projects and see opportunities to deals and from your laptop in just a few minutes. Right now, once you start presenting, like maybe you want to invest some time into putting together a PowerPoint and things like this. I teach a class for a private money club called the Accelerator Program. And in the Accelerator Program, we talk about how to put together the PowerPoint, how to share it within the community, and how to put your best foot forward. Right. And I think, prior to having the education for the community through that class, I think people really kind of struggled with it. I saw good deals kind of sit on the sidelines because folks didn't necessarily know how to articulate the deal and how to sell it, right? How to present it. And that's one of the things that we do for folks now through the Accelerator Program. If you are interested in that, you can text Joseph there. That 716 number is Joseph's phone number. He can set up a call with you to talk about it. So also, here's what's kind of cool too, and I'll share with you actually some deals we got cooking right now, and just use them as case studies. I like to teach case studies and talk about what's happening in my business because it seems like people like to learn from real life stuff as opposed to just saying, hey, here's an example and things like this, right? So let me pull up some things here. You can, in your profile, you can come on over and, if you click on someone's profile, you can see their posts, right? See some of their past posts. You can see their certifications. You can see their deals, right? So I don't have any active deals right now that need funding, but I have a couple inactives that I posted in here that got funded, right? So you can check this out. You can look up these addresses. You can see everything I'm saying I'm doing, which is good. Mike had a question. No, and yes, once I see how easy or difficult it is to post, I will let you know. Yeah. I mean, I just don't, when I say, here's my thought process too, Mike, and for everyone on this call here and borrowers, this is so important. I'm going to share with you a couple PowerPoint slides here before we wrap up, which are really like checklists of things that I think people should put together before they present opportunities. Right. And it does take a little bit of work. But one of the things that I tell my students in accelerator classes, you got to keep in mind, someone's about to lend you $600,000. Right. Let's just do this deal right here. Let me pull this up. 925,000. So this was a deal we just got funded. We just closed on this property, like, I don't know, maybe 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago. It was $925,000 that we needed. We borrowed $675,000 from one private lender, and we borrowed $250,000 from another private money lender. Right. So two private money lenders helped us fund this deal. And so remember, like, how much work should you as the real estate investor do before asking someone for $900,000 in this case? You follow me? So I've got a list here of things. So sometimes, I don't know, it's probably just not the right people. Sometimes people are like, gosh, no, I have to post this and I have to put together PowerPoint slides. It's like, do you want the money or not? Like, you gotta do something. You can't, like, no one's going to say, oh, just because you posted a picture, a screenshot from Zillow of the house you're looking to buy, that they automatically should give you the funding, right? It's our job as borrowers to present the case, right? Are you rolling in a wheelbarrow full of evidence, right? Saying, here's the comps, here's the repair costs, here's my team, here's the attorneys, or are you just winging it and hoping that someone is going to lend to you, right? So this involves work, but the work is up front, getting the items together, getting everything organized. So when you present the deal, boom, boom, right? It works out good, right? A couple questions. So are they both together on a first one or second? No, they're separate. So on this deal here, $675,000 loan is first position, $250,000 loan was second position, right? Now, what's cool about this? Now, I'm going to use my wife's words here. So you guys understand when I say first and second position. So first position mortgage is a lien. There's a lien on the property, first position lien. So when that house sells, the order with which the liens are recorded are there. That's the order with which they're paid off. So if a person has a first position lien, the house sells, first position gets settled first. They get their money back first. Second position comes in, they get their money back second. If there's a third or whatever, you guys get it, right? I don't believe that second positions are necessarily that much more risky. It all comes down to how much equity is in the deal and who's the person that you lent to, who's the operator, right? So in this scenario here, it's a $925,000 in debt, but it's secured by a property that we believe is worth at least 1.5 million, right? So there's $1.5 million asset secured by a $925,000 or $925,000 loan secured by a $1.5 million asset, right? So that's the scenario here, right? What makes it secure? What's important? Let's get into that. Let's talk about this. All right. How much equity do you guys give away? We don't give away any equity. Everything that we do is debt. So on this deal here, it's 11% that we're paying. No points, 11% annualized interest for the 675. Actually, no, I'm sorry, this is 10%. 925, 10% for both lenders, which is cool. All right, cool. Here we go. Where am I at? I'm gonna go back to my slides. Let me cover some of the things here that you're gonna want to have. Okay. So Monica, everybody else, this is really, really, really important. And one of the things that we've talked about a lot within Private Money Club is making sure that, safety. So if I'm presenting a deal, I want to make sure that I put together as much of the information as possible that's going to help a person say yes. Okay. And if I'm doing the work up front and everything's making sense, it also helps me become a better real estate investor. If we just wing things sometimes, that means not only are you being a bad borrower, but you're being a bad real estate investor. The deal might not work out. So the more that we put together, the less we can lie to ourselves about, hey, we can make this work. No, we want to make sure we've got everything put together. So when I'm putting together a loan package, here's what I'm doing, right? Number one, I'm going to have a nice cover page and make it professional looking. Okay. Now, look, if you're a lender on the call right now and you click on a deal on Private Money Club and they send you over a Zillow link, I wouldn't do that deal. If they send you over, something that looks like their fifth grader did it, I wouldn't do that deal. I would only work with people who have professional, looking packages put together, right? And the reason being is if a person can't put all this information together and organize it in a way where if you as a lender are thinking about lending them $500,000, that you're not like, oh, this is pretty cool. Like, don't lend on a deal that you wouldn't feel comfortable taking the information that borrower gave to you and showing it to your best friend, showing it to your family. Say, hey, I'm going to do this I'm going to put my money to work at 10%. Here's all the information about the deal. If they're not like, oh, this looks like it could be something, this is pretty cool, that's not the deal for you. All right. We can't, this is why this stuff is so important, right? I teach this in Accelerator. I'm emphasizing it right now. Cover page in Private Money Club. We actually have a template. It's called the Perfect Loan Proposal. Outlines information about yourself, your company, things like this. This is a free tool to all members. I always include an executive summary, otherwise, known as, outline of the deal, exit strategy. Some people call it an exit strategy letter, talking about what we're going to be doing with the property. A comps package. So for my real estate agent, I'll have a comparable sales with maps and all the data showing why our real estate agent, why the professionals believe that once we make those adjustments, changes, upgrades, the property is going to be worth what it is, what it's worth now, right? Estimate, repair estimates, beautiful scopes of work, right? I should have line items of where all my lender's money is going, right? How many windows are there? The roof that's going in, the HVAC estimates. I want to make sure I've got everything covered, right? Doorknobs, mailbox. I want to make sure it's all there. Photos of the property. Now, I'm not just talking like the listing on the link, you Google the address and realtor.com pulls up. No, I want to take photos of what's happening under the sinks. I want to take photos of the air conditioning, of the electrical panels, all of these things. in addition to what we would normally think of when we think of photos. Property tax card. So I want to make sure that, check the zoning. I want to see a map of the property lines. I want to make sure that the owner is the owner, like this property actually exists. Hey, wouldn't you know it? I also want to see the purchase contract. So I'm putting all this together before I bring this to my lenders. Purchase contract. I want to make sure that, there's evidence showing that I'm actually buying this house. What am I buying it for? Right? Things like this. Title company information or closing attorney information, depending on who you use to do your real estate closings, what state you're in. You may find yourself using a title company or a real estate attorney. But we always want to make sure that professionals are involved. And then experience spreadsheet. So I would like to see, if I'm lending money, I'd like to see, what a person's experience level is, especially if I'm doing business with them for the first time. How many properties do you currently own? How many flips have you done? How many flips do you currently own that are on the market and haven't sold? Like, I want to get a snapshot right now. This is for presenting. Okay. So this is I would put this together and then I would post in Private Money Club, my deal, the information. And then when someone reaches out, I'm going to send them over a Google Drive folder that has all of these things in it. And this does not take more than a couple hours to put together, guys. And the reality is, if you're doing real estate, you should have all of these things pretty much done in a file for yourself. So it's pretty easy to just share a Google Drive folder or however you want to get them the information with a potential lender. All right. Couple questions here. So presenting deals here are either to be a lender or borrower, or not to list any properties that are acquired as an investor or wholesaler. Yeah, correct. So these are lending opportunities. Absolutely. Not to say though, Mike, that you couldn't make a post in Private Money Club sharing who you are, what you do, and sharing buying deals. I think you could totally do that. Right. I don't see anything wrong with that. Maybe in your profile, Mike, you put that you're a real estate investor and, link to your website or whatever, right? Like what you do. I think you could totally do that. Right. Totally. How long do you recommend waiting before taking action on a PMC deal that goes south? Right away. Interest paid 19 months in a row on a 24-month deal, but now no interest paid for the last 3 months. Trying to resolve in several ways. Well, I think that what's good about this, Kevin, is that, I'm not an attorney, let alone a foreclosure attorney, but what's good about this, Kevin, is that you have communication with this person. Okay. So that would be good. And, it's just a matter of, okay, do you keep getting the payments, right? Is there light at the end of this tunnel here, right? Or do you have to take action? What I love about this is you have a recorded first trust deed, promissory note, and a personal guarantee. Where a lot of people get themselves in trouble is they might just have the promissory note, right? So it's cool that it's real good that you have those things and that they're recorded, which is good. So communication. The moment that the communication isn't there, that's when I would take legal action, right? How do I pay back my private money lenders? So what's cool about this, Mark, is that it's up to them. I always ask my lenders how they would like to be paid, right? And then what I do is I serve that up to them on a silver platter. So I keep that in mind. If I meet a lender and they're like, hey, I really want to have monthly payments, I like the idea of monthly payments. Okay, cool. I'm making a note of that in my spreadsheet that I have with my connections, that's what they like, along with like their loan amounts and things like this, right? What we talk about, and then when I have a loan opportunity, I look at what makes sense for me as a real estate investor and I match it up with that person. So some of them we pay monthly, some of them we pay at the end. It really just depends on what the person wants, which is kind of cool, right? If I was a lender, I would be wanting monthly payments though, just so you guys know. Okay. I would want monthly payments. Can you look over my website to see if it came across correctly? Maybe if you send it to me directly, Toby, if that message was for me. All right. So here's some of the things. Now, this isn't everything. All right. But as I'm having conversations with people, the idea here is to build, as much of an armored tank or suit of armor as you possibly can. Right. So what makes private money lending great? Yes, the interest is nice, but it's really the collateral. So if you lend 100 hopefully the asset's worth 180 or whatever, right? So you want to have equity in the deal. And if anything happens, then you can go after the property, right? Take ownership of the property. So we got it, but we got to have the mortgage to do that. And we want to make sure that it's recorded. Okay. Promissory note outlines the terms of the loan. I always like to offer my lenders personal guarantees, right? I believe that if you're going to be borrowing money from someone, then even if it's with your LLC or S corp or whatever, we should have our own butts on the line too, right? So I always offer a personal guarantee. We also do lenders title insurance policies. We pay for those just in case anything pops up on title, error, or mistake, HOA thing gets missed, whatever. We always want to make sure that our lenders are safe and protected. Lenders title policy. Our lenders are also receiving copies of the settlement statement. So they're seeing that we're purchasing the property, we're seeing their information there. If they're first, if they're second, they're being notified of this, right? So these are things that we're providing to them before closing. We're following up to making sure that the mortgage has been recorded. We always want to ask ourselves, hey, is there equity in the deal, right? And then one of the things I think people sometimes forget to talk about is what's the plan for project updates. So I would talk about this up front, right? Talk about this up front. Hey, how am I going to be notified? What does this look like? If it's a fix and flip project, are we going to open up a joint bank account where the person who's the lender has a deposit only access, but yet they can see the amounts that are in there to monitor, to make sure the funds are going towards the renovations? Are we going to do a Facebook page where it's private and just me and the lender are in there and I update photos daily with the progress of the property? Do they not want to be notified at all? Maybe once a month, send an email with some photos, whatever this looks like. It's important that you talk about this up front, right? Because remember, going back to what I said when I first got on this call, it's all about creating that ultimate customer service experience, right? And at the end of the day, too, we also have to make sure that we listen to our guts, right? What's your gut telling you? For my lenders on the call here, it's your money, right? So ultimately, don't ever feel like you're being painted in a corner where you have to do a deal. If someone isn't willing to give you a mortgage or doesn't want to do a personal guarantee and that's what you want in your business, then don't do it. It's okay to say no. There's lots of fish in the sea. All right, lots of opportunities. Okay. Does that make sense, guys? All right, so let's see here. What time is it? Oh, it's 2:01. We're 1 minute over. I'm gonna hit the Q&A real quick. I hope you guys got some value out of this session here today. Lots of times we talk about the same things, but again, basketball players, they shoot free throws at the end of practice. Hockey players, they shoot pucks at the end of the practice. Even though they're professionals and they're being paid millions of dollars, they do these things day in and day out, just like we do on these calls every Thursday at 1:00. I don't see much of a difference, right? So if your real estate investor isn't practicing and your lender isn't practicing, maybe we need to find someone else, right? If you want help, now's the time. If you want help, click on the link there and schedule what's known as a blueprint call. The Private Money Club team, Joseph, Jose, Mike, they're there to help you guys. There might be options, classes, courses, things like this that if you want to expedite, make sure you're doing things the right way as much as possible. Those are some good options for you. Joseph and the team can help you out with that. If you haven't created a Private Money Club profile yet, that's the goal, right? What are we doing? If you're serious about raising money and things like that, don't half-ass it too. If you're going to take the time to fill it out, create the account, make sure you put your picture in there, information about who you are, your goals as an investor, goals as a lender. That little stuff really, really matters. Okay. The links are right there. And gosh, man, Money Tank, Dallas, Texas, May 8th and 9th. That's going to be a fabulous time. It's going to be so much fun. I was just talking with Stephen Nagy on the call, on a phone call before I hopped on this about the outline, the schedule. And we've got some really cool real estate investors, entrepreneurs, and professionals teaching some really cool stuff, right? Which is awesome. So, all right, cool. Thanks, guys. You are so welcome. Let's see. BoBuysHomes.com. Let me see. This better not be a virus, Bo. All right, cool. It's legit. All right. I'm just giving you a hard time. Hey, you never know. You never know. Yeah, it's working. It's working. Looking good. Bo Buys Homes and Land. All right, cool. Bo Buys Homes and Land. I like it. Now, Bo, do you have a PMC profile? You got deals on there yet? Right? This is some nice looking stuff here. I got some students in Oregon right now that our borrowers and lenders. I've got some real nice couple in Portland that I've been coaching in the accelerator program who are looking to put some money to work, which is cool. So, all right, cool. Yeah, website is working. All right. All right, guys, I'm going to sign off. I will see you next week, every Thursday, 1:00. I will see you there. All right. Have a great weekend, everybody. All right. Be safe. Bye.